Hello. Hi everyone who's waiting in chat. I got a new microphone, so you'll have to let me know how the levels are, how the volume is. Hey everyone in chat. Wow, there's loads of people. That's wicked. Do I sound okay? Wicked. Thank you, Steve. Ooh. I'm just got some of our previous designs from our last stream playing in the background. I'm not drawing those that quickly. I wish. How are we all? On the same note of Feywild, I run mainly druidic setting. Ooh, Kitsu, you're gonna have plenty of stuff to play with. Plenty of stuff to play with. Hey Jake, how you doing? You've been here for ages, dude. I saw your message like an hour ago. Oh yeah, Aston, if you could drop an invite to the Discord, that would be wicked. Oh, thanks, Jake. I really appreciate that. Well, there's tons more to come, including some tonight. We're going to design a few more monsters, maybe talk about the book a little bit. Well, definitely talk about the book a little bit. So if you have any questions, anything you want to find out, ask. I'm here to answer. Aston can't moderate me because he's not on voice tonight. Hey, thanks, Aston. Okay, I might just play that again in the background because that was while we're all settling in. So last stream, for those who missed it because it was a bit last minute, we designed, started off with a new witch familiar, the Bloom Moor. Played around with some different things, ended up with this really cool Wolfsbane inspired sort of Demogorgon three-mouthed chap, which we're all really stoked with. And then we went on to the Habitrot, which is a sort of spider spinster monster. That was extremely creepy. Let me check chat. The Triss Gaming, wicked. Oh, you bought Duke, so you're going to be working with me to design some monsters. So we're going to have a more clear breakdown of timelines about everything really soon, in terms of just a roadmap really for what you guys can all expect as we go through the creation of the book and fulfillment, sort of all of those things. But for the Duke pledge, so for the 5 people that got our sort of limited legendary pledged here, you will get some information very soon as to when that's all going to kick off, but it will not be long. And what that will essentially involve is, the first thing that will happen is you'll get sent a sort of questionnaire survey which is just a preliminary thing. It's just that we can get some ideas down, you know, like what are you interested in and what do you think would be cool, and then we'll schedule a call and we'll hang out for a little bit and we'll just talk through what the options are and what sort of might be really, really cool to have in the book. And then once we've nailed down the final idea, I'll go away and paint an original piece. So it won't be digital like this work is. It will be likely with acrylic or with oil or something. I haven't really decided yet. I'm going to have some fun with it. But I'll paint the original piece that will get scanned in and put into the final book alongside the monster we designed together. And then the original will get signed on the reverse and shipped to you. It will get shipped separately to the rest of your pledge, so it will either arrive earlier or later, but it will arrive in all its goodness. Okay, so I don't want to delay too much before we get started to drawing some creatures. Unless anyone has any more questions they would like to ask, or I mean, I can sort of answer them while we're going. Really, I've shortlisted, got a few ideas monster-wise, and we can pick which we want to explore the most. The background music is a tad loud. Okay, I can get that sorted. Hold on. How's that? Is that better? I'm realising now there's a slight delay, so I'm not going to be able to get that feedback 3 seconds after I do it. But let me know. So, the options... I should write these down actually. The options that we've got, at least what I'm thinking, to start off with. I've been doing a lot of work lately. Me and Aston have been doing a bunch of work into some dragon creatures for the book, which I know doesn't sort of jump out as Fae when you first hear that, but dragons are really, really important in Celtic and British folklore, so we wanted to bring our own, you know, unique thing to it, and that is in the form of worms. Oh, more questions. Let me take these first. What is the general theme or rules for the monster creation? Like, is there a max CR? No themes, no rules. I mean, it'll be Fae. And obviously we'll guide it to be within keeping with the rest of the book, so there won't be anything like too insane, but it'll be a bit of a creative workshop, so we'll go back and forth and we'll eventually settle somewhere that's that we both really like. If you want it to be like a legendary monster with legendary actions and all that kind of stuff, we can do that, but there's also tons of monsters that are just as fun that are small, so really it's up to you. The Fudgesicle asks, I noticed one of the tokens on the background page is one of the new creatures based off of the Dream Tiger. Yeah, so that was a really wicked art piece that I saw on Instagram. And I used it as the token art after we did our sort of stat. If anyone doesn't follow us on Instagram, you can check us out at the Dragon's Vault. I believe, and we sort of do animated creature stat blocks and items and stuff like that. But I really, really liked that art piece, and I really, really thought there was a cool monster in there. So I think something similar will appear in the book, but I'm gonna take it in a direction that feels not just a rip of that art, you know, just a jumping off point. So something very, very similar will appear, which is why I used it as the token art. A coin dragon. Jake, sorry. I'm still so new to this. Jake says, what about a coin dragon? Tiny dragons that are stitched to an ancient coin. That would be very, very sick. I saw an art piece like that as well, where it was like pigeons with coins for heads. I forgot what they were called though, or what the artist that did that. I should have written that down. But yes, maybe that would be very, very cool. Kitsu asks, if I may ask out of curiosity, given the themes are similar but different with Circle of Blight and Spore. Oh yes, yeah. Love to go into the mechanics a little bit on Blight. So Blight isn't mushroomy. We've leaned a little bit on some of that aesthetic. Obviously the Blight Druid art is on a big mushroom cap, but Blight itself is it's a lot more close, I would say, to like Undeath. So I've got some actually like some of the Blight mechanics that we can have a look at really quick, because we could also do, that was one of the options. Why did I start in capitals and then switch? That is one of the options that I had lined up for tonight, was doing some Blight monsters. So basically the way to think of Blight in the world of Faerie is much how you think of the White Walkers in Game of Thrones. Blight's a sort of existential undeath threat to the realm. And so creatures of Blight, there are tons of unique creatures of Blight, but Blight is also a thing that can happen to any creature, including like player characters, NPCs, monsters. So it, along with it comes a sort of template of things that any DM could attach to any monster to make them a quote-unquote blighted creature. But the way Blight essentially sort of works as a mechanic is that it's a condition that PCs can get, creatures can get, that is a sort of proximity-based necrosis that can spread and stack. So if you are fighting a blighted creature and you get too close for too long, you will start taking damage and you will catch blight for a temporary period, like a round. And then while you have the blight, you can give it to other creatures. So it ends up becoming a bit of a battlefield control thing in a way. It's more of an environmental hazard. But it's less mushroom and more sort of decay, would be the way I would put it. It lives in and thrives on death in plants and in creatures and in the natural beings of the world. Sorry if I'm missing any questions. I'm rambling a lot. Zujen, on the topic of what's the difference, I'd like to ask, the Hagborn is going to be different from the Hexblood lineage. Oh, how? So Hexblood, was Hexblood a UA thing? Or is Hexblood lineage, did that get, I don't think I've read Hexblood, but I can read it right now and then tell you what the differences will be. And then I think we'll hop into some monster design. Let's have a look at Hexblood. Oh yes, I remember this from Van Richten's. Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. There's well, obviously, like it's a hag thing, so definitely some flavor similarities there. But hag. I'm going to get the names mixed up now that you've put this both of these in my head. I nearly said Hagblood then. Hagborn are primarily people who've survived being used in a hag's ritual as a child, and then but have been scarred by it. And so they're not hags, but they could become hags, I suppose, and their magic is tied to specifically to the hag that was completing the ritual. So I think currently in the book there is a river hag a night hag, and I forget what the third one was, off the top of my head. And they're all tied to the unique hag stack blocks that will be in the book as well, in a way. So we're going to redo the hags from 5e in our own way that sort of will align a bit more with maybe some more of the local myths and folk tales that relate to hags. And the role they sort of play in the wider lore was they're feared mostly, avoided. There's a lot of mythos around them. So in the final tome, you'll see a lot more areas that bleed into that. But great question. Kitsu, the existence of sub-races. So, yes, yeah, exactly. There's a lot more options there. And there's also a feat tree, which is really cool. So there's a bunch of hag-born specific feats that will be really cool, that I'm really excited about. The Fudgical. Speaking of subclasses, I was curious about the Witch Knight. It's meant to be, yes, the take on the Eldritch Knight, but more Mystic Marks. Yes, we do. The Witch Knight's sick. It's so sick. We've been designing that basically over the last couple of weeks, back and forth, to really get it somewhere cool. And you'll see that very soon, because that will be featured in our first playtest. So very soon we'll be releasing, again, more information on that will come post-campaign, but we'll be releasing monthly playtest content drops that we'll be collecting feedback on. And the first one includes the Witch Knight. So you'll get a chance to have your hands on that very soon. But it is what you're saying, it's the Eldritch Knight, but with Mystic Marks, and a bit more of an in-tuned familiar. I can't tell if it's broken currently, because I really need some people to break it for me and tell me. But we'll find out very soon. But it is my favourite of the subclasses, I think. Robin asks, I was wondering if we'd be getting a Faerie-specific Faerie race to be more in line with the lore. Because it's always bugged me that changelings have a shape. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing, really, because when you're looking through like Celtic myth and medieval lore and stuff like that, basically every creature can just turn into a frog or a person. It often feels like a bit of an afterthought, like when someone was telling a story of a thing, they're sort of talking about a monster, and they were like, oh, and it had wings and it was horrible and it climbed out of a lake, and also it could turn into a woman that was very attractive. It just sort of gets added always, which I get. So I get why D&D 5e gave it to just one thing. We do not have a Faerie race, but what we do have is, as per a stretch goal that you all helped unlock, we do have a changeling background and feat structure that will give you some of that to add to whatever race or lineage you'll be playing. So hopefully that will bridge the gap a little bit for those that want a bit more changeling spread in their D&D. Let's have a look. Can't wait to read and test the witch class. It's been a while since my wife wanted to play a witch-like class. Thank you. Yeah, so that's thanks, David. That's the whole reason the witch class kind of exists, is because one of the first D&D games I ever played was with my sister, who's not massively into D&D, but like most people that try it, loved it. But when she was first creating her character, this was years ago, when she was first creating her character, she asked if she could be a witch. I think I had to give the answer a lot of us have had to give in the past, which is just like, yeah, kind of. And it ended up being, you know, the classic sort of mix of like druidic stuff and a bit of cleric and those sorts of things to get where we wanted to get. So when we were creating Faerie, and we were looking to try our hand at the design of a full class, that was just the obvious pick. So that's another thing you'll be getting to playtest very soon, hopefully, so that you can really let us know what's working for you in your games and what isn't. Because as much as we can do the math sort of on our end, the best way to know how it feels in play is to give you guys the toys, and then you just break them and tell us where they broke. Yeah, I love changelings too. Steve says that the witch class got me in a lot of trouble today. I need to hear about that, please. Oh, D&D Shorts sent you here. Wicked. He's the best. Jake, if the Blight Druid is more undead themed, does that mean they get raised dead in their spell list? So it's not undead in the sort of classic 5e sense, but I don't know about getting raised dead, but they definitely get abilities that allow them to puppet creatures with sort of raise creatures with the necrosis sort of blight decay thing going on. As well as allowing it to inform their wild shape choices. So they definitely do get a little bit of that, yeah. The Fudgical, not gonna lie, I love the idea of the witch specifically because it feels unique to how spells work. Because warlocks have pack slots and the others have spell slots, so Mystic Marks feels refreshing. Thank you. Yeah, we It's a little bit weird. It's a weird one because basically all of the class archetypes you could want from 5e have been fleshed out and done to a certain extent. And so I sort of knew that when we were doing the witch that we'd have to try something a little new. And hopefully it's, easy to play and easy to pick up. And the marks really let us, with the use of diminution and sigils and all these things, they really give you a lot of flexibility in your casting. That hopefully when you're playing feels like it's not that you can do everything, but it's almost that you could do anything in a way. Hopefully. Anyway. Steve said, I ended up backing the Nimble campaign too and clicked over to look at it originally because of the witch crossover. Oh, cool. Very, very cool. You still need to explain how the witch class got you in trouble though. I'm waiting, dude. David said you showed her and it seemed like a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, it's a full caster class with a weird tilt to it, so I could totally understand that, especially if she doesn't play a lot. Oh, hey Evan. Nimble's here. Thank you for the congrats. Congrats to you as well, mate. You killed it. Very, very cool. It's great to see you, man. Zoo says, I was wondering if we could get more information on what to expect from the onomancy magic. Yes, that's also a thing we've been working on because obviously that's a sort of stretch goal. We need to do some drawing in a minute. We'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to take a couple more questions, and then we'll just pick what draw. At least then I can be drawing idly in the background while we chat about this. Yeah, so onomancy's really, really been interesting to try and sort of explore what Dunamancy did with chronergy and that kind of thing, in the idea of like not a new spell school but a new sub school of spells. And with onomancy, we've really leaned into, so far anyway, in the design of it, we've really leaned into the idea of spells that you don't need to see the target for. It's a lot more about naming the target. Similar to, Aston will correct me if I get this wrong, but I think it's Psychic Lance is the name of the spell. But yeah, the idea is that there's like it's a subset of spells that lean into that enchantment sort of leaning, but they're scaled a bit more internally in the design based on the naming of the creature, along with a few other things. But they will definitely be featured in a playtest soon, because I'd like to see what everyone thinks about them in play. Malcolm says, how early can characters pledge fealty to Fae factions? Is there a level requirement, or would it be encounter based? So yeah, the way fealty works is really it's an RP thing. So it's whenever it makes sense for the story at your table. The pledging of fealty is I think any level could do, potentially. It would just be a thing of your place in the story being worthy that you would get the audience required to pledge fealty, or that anyone would care that you pledge fealty. But you'll be accruing sort of fealty on the progress scale within the subsystem of fealty. You'll be accruing that the whole time you're playing, because everything you do in the world has an impact on who likes you and who doesn't. You know, a level 1 character killing, you know, a Knight of Winter will not bear well on the fealty there, but the Court of Summer, like the House Summer, would love if you did that. So it's a thing that you'll be sort of engaging with on the side. It's just that the powers you get from it will only happen once you pledge to a house. But really, you got to ask your DM about that. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to give you an audience with a king. Though I can't be held responsible if you do get thrown in jail or worse. Okay, so Steve says, how the witch class got me in trouble. I originally only meant to back Faerie, and ended up all in on Nimble too. The trouble comes from the girlfriend who wants to know why I'm feeding all of my money into back a kid today. Okay, well, I'm only taking half responsibility for that. I don't know if Evan's still here, but if he is, then I need him to take 50% at least. He made a very cool thing. It's you should tell her it's not your fault. You had to do it. You had to do it. Kitsy said, so Conor, you can pledge fealty at any time, but it's not until you accrue enough. Yeah, sort of. Yeah. So it's that thing of like, if you were a king of a court and a random, like a group of 3 random people walked in and were like, we pledge to you, you'd probably be like, okay, great. But it only really starts mattering once you build up a bit of renown, you know? Once your name carries a little bit of weight, and then all of a sudden it matters that those knights ask to pledge fealty. But again, it's all RP based. It'll depend on the story you're telling at your table as to when that system really starts to come into play. As well as like the repercussions of it, you know? Because there are a lot of powers inherent in it, but you pledge to one house, the others aren't going to like you as much. So, Robin says that your best friend who you play with is excited for the Blight Druid. They should be. I'll say this on the Blight Druid before we get into a little bit of art. The Blight Druid original pitch was is to the Druid what the Oathbreaker is to the Paladin, in a way. Which, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, just makes it cooler. But yeah, that was the design pitch there. There's just no evil Druid stuff, you know? Druids don't always have to like things. They can be bad. Okay, let's shall we pick what we want to do a bit of design for? Because at least then my hands are doing something in the background while I'm answering questions. So, the choices that I've got pinned for us are, we've got worms, which are flightless, poisonous dragons. So I can go into them a little bit in a minute, but they're sort of, they still come in different types the same way the dragons that you know from 5e do, but they all have poison, and that poison affects creatures slightly differently, depending on the type of dragon you're facing. We could do some blight creatures. I don't exactly know which blight creatures we can do, but we can kick around some ideas and see what we like there. And then the other creatures that I had listed. What have we got? Oh, some ones that didn't come up. So we've got the Shellycoat is one. Again, with the mixing of lowercase and uppercase. So we've got Shellycoat, which are creatures that wear the discarded armor, shields, and weapons of fallen knights and warriors on battlefields. So they sort of roam battlefields, a bit like are they called cadaver collectors? But more animalistic. No one knows what a Shellycoat looks like. No one's ever seen one. They just see a weird sort of armoured lump moving across a battlefield. And if they get big enough and they get hungry enough, they'll start taking armour off things that are still alive. So there's one option. Then what else was the other one? Oh, there's one, yeah. Girt dogs. Which, in British folklore, there's a lot of black hounds, devil dogs, that sort of thing. Girt dogs specifically drink blood. So they are vampiric fae dogs that drink blood. I have no idea what that would look like, but we can maybe figure that out. And then the final one, what should we pick for now? I think actually no, there's 4 there. What are we thinking? What would we like to do? We got dragons, we got blight, we got Shellycoat, and we got Girt dogs. I did just watch the old Blade film the other day, the one with Ryan Reynolds in it, and that has vampire dogs in it. So that is kicking around in my brain a bunch. Oh, we can do some willow art as well. That's true. That's true. What time is it? Okay. Well, I think we'll do one monster first, and then I think we'll do some willow art. Okay, so Steve's sold on the Shellycoat. Let's a vote for the Shellycoat. Kitsu is going for the Girt dog. Okay. I don't think they're the kind that you want to pet. I think they're they're bad. Okay, the Fudgesicle is into the Girt dog too. That's 2 votes for the Girt. Should I note these down? I've got 2 for the Girt dog, 1 for the Shellycoat. I mean, Girt dog's winning. I'm gonna try and just not do the like vampiric Pomeranian from Blade, but it's gonna be difficult. Casey Bell on the Girt dog. Another one for the Girt dog. And then Zoo. Oh, you've got to go to bed. Well, thank you for sticking around. I know it's late where you are. So it's really cool that you could check in and hopefully you'll be able to watch the VOD when it's out. Oh, we got more votes for worms. Sam's votes for worms. What else have we got? Another vote. Jim votes for worms. Steve, are you swapping your vote from Shellycoat? Are you abandoning now that the tide's shifting? I mean, I'll cross it over, but... Casey, I know the Blade Dog rocks, but I just can't help but feel it's going to stand out from the rest of the book if I put a Pomeranian with a predator mouth in it. Oh, Lucas asked about the Cairndwin. Cairndwin are very cool. Cairndwin are like, I won't go too deep right now because we're right on the cusp of doing some art, but they're very cool. They are fae that live and dwell in the cairns of Faerie, which are the burial mounds, burial barrows. They sort of live. If you've ever played Skyrim and ventured into the dungeons therein of the sort of barrows and stuff like that, they're fae that live in and dwell in the barrows. So they're sort of fae meets undead in a way, which is it's gonna be wicked. Okay. I'm losing track. How many we got? We got another. Daniel's going for Gert Dog. That's 5 for Gert Dog. David on Worms. Evan for Worms. Evan counts for 2. I'm just going to say it. Robin wants a Shellycoat. Lucas on the Worms. All Worms are taking the lead. Worms, another Worms. Okay, Jake, I'm going to put you down for Worms. You said coin dragon. I don't know if we're going to do a coin dragon, but you said dragon, so I'm counting that as Worms. Thank you for keeping tally of the questions, Kitsu. I'm going to need reminding for sure. Joe Brassington votes for Kurt Dog. You need to go to sleep, Joe. You got work tomorrow. Deadpool Dog would I feel like that would be worse than the Pomeranian. Malcolm asks if there are role-playing, like RP mechanics included in the book beyond the Fealty System. No, I don't think there's... Not really. I would say Fealty's the closest we've got to RP mechanics in that regard, but I will say that the lore of the book, the sort of the explorer's midsection of the book that is stocked with enough lore and tied into the Fealty System and those kind of things that hopefully it provides enough both like mechanical basis and lore basis for you to build that sort of thing into. So you won't be left wanting for, at the very least, the foundation to approach those sort of things. But there's nothing planned for like a hardline RP system in there. Beyond. Oh, Aston, I'm sorry, I missed your. What did you vote? Quick, say it again. If I don't see it appear in the chat in the next 3 seconds, I'm not going to count it. Thanks, Joe. Sleep tight. Sweet dreams. Love ya. Okay, Aston, I'm just going to say you wasted your vote to tell Joe goodnight. So, no, too late. Listen, I don't make the rules at the end of the day. I just enforce them. Okay, so it looks like Worms won, which I wasn't expecting. But I think I can firmly say that the Gert Dog's next. So we'll start with Worms. What time is it? Okay, cool. So we've got some options for these worms. In terms of what type of worm we could have a go at. So the worm types are as follows. There is slate worms, which are your sort of cold dragon type. So they nation dragons. And then the final one is... Oh no, we've got two more. Pyrite worms, who are made of fool's gold. So illusion based, and then iron worms, who are the sort of big daddies. Very, you know, I mean, as you can imagine, iron worms are deeply feared in the Fae. So those are the picks. I don't know which one. I mean, maybe we start with a slate worm, just because that's nice and simple. Well, not simple, but I feel like there's some cool stuff there that we could work with. I'm going to minimize this so that we don't forget to do Gert dogs. Oh, I think my chat disconnected. Hopefully we're still running smooth. Okay, I'll write them out. Why am I not writing them out? I'm just saying them. Okay, let me... Ooh. These are the types we've got. Slate, which is cold. Flint, which is sparks, lightning, makes your blood poisonous and then sets you on fire. Basalt, which are big, heavy, lumbering, thick worms. Pewter, which is anti-divination, lead-based metallic worm. So all of these are like mineral-based, and then all of these are metallic-based. Pyrite, which... that's not how you write T. Pyrite, which is fool's gold. So they're very illusion-based. And then iron, which are very anti-Fae. Okay, so what are we saying? Fool's gold. Fool's gold sounds like a coin dragon to me. I mean, it could be. Listen, I'm not saying no. Pyrite tends to be like very geometric though. It's like very square. Okay, David wants basalt or pewter. Yeah, the interesting thing is that a lot of these are going to be, like, inherently would be like grey coloured. So it's going to be interesting to try and make them not all just grey, which I think is part of the fun creatively. Flint and pyrite kits are you torn between? Okay, it seems like pyrite is the way we're going to go. Jake likes pewter. Yeah, I think pewter was Aston's favourite as well. Fudgicle says it feels nice to get more Feywild dragons outside of the fairy dragons. Yeah, well, it was just... we thought about not having them in the book because they don't inherently feel Fey for 5e. But you just read the folklore and it's, you know, every single town in England, it feels like, had a dragon at one point. So, we had to. And they're all poisonous as well, for the most part. I mean, in British folklore, it feels like if you met a dragon and it wasn't poisonous, you're in for a really bad time, because that means it probably breathes fire. Okay, Fool's Gold Dragon. Right. Choice made. We're going Fool's Gold. Pyrite Dragon. So... Pyrite. That's not on the screen. Pyrite Dragon. Okay, so with Pyrite and with the worms, we'll go Pyrite Worm. So the things that we need to keep in mind design-wise is that they are poison. They are flightless. That's kind of the two big hitters, I suppose. They're very serpentine as well. So do you know what I should do? Is I should get some pictures of pyrite and some pictures of some wingless dragons, maybe. And then we can decide from there what we want. So let me grab some pictures real quick. Okay, pyrite. Pyrite. Okay. Yeah, it's very square. Pyrite's very like is polyhedral the word? I might go on Pinterest to get some wingless dragon pics because they have the best fantasy art stuff for inspiration. Let's have a look. Some wingless dragons. Okay. There's some cool options there. I've also been watching House of the Dragon a little bit, so that's definitely going to bleed in. Bloodworm is a very cool dragon design. Okay, and then there's like Behears and stuff like that. Okay, we got some stuff. Okay, let me add these in, and then we'll get back to the canvas. Okay, so this is what pyrite looks like. It's very like I said, very geometric, very square. Very chunky sort of look, which I think we should lean into, in my personal opinion. And then dragon-wise, I put in Flightless Dragon. A lot of these look very similar to just sort of European dragons without wings. I suppose there's some iguana looks in there. That's pretty wicked. That could be cool. This one's a bit more dinosaur looking. This one up here I like as well because that feels a bit more serpentine, which I think is probably closer to what we want. Okay, I think we got some stuff to work with. So if I just put these, make these small to the side. And I'm going to move this over here. Okay. So we could go we could go very serpentine with it. So we could go like long neck. I feel like that's a little Jabberwocky ish from Alice in Wonderland, is very long necked. So just for like body structure, there's one option we could go with. That foot is awful. How would its back legs look? Something like that? I feel like they'd have to be a bit crocodilian, wouldn't they? Into its tail, like that. So you go something like that. I like the one next to the iguana one. Which one? To the right or to the left of the iguana one? This one? This one here? It's a bit more dog-like. A lot of these look a lot more like drakes than worms. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. I think maybe the worm thing is inherently it has to be quite snake-like. Like it's got to feel long when you look at it. Nobody clip that. Does flightless definitely mean wingless? What about heavy serpent things that more moves along the ground with its wings? Oh. That's interesting. What do you mean, like how like the way bats move when they walk? Or do you mean like... Oh, it could be very cool if they have like underarm wings, so they can sort of like leap off structures and maybe like glide, but they don't inherently fly. That could be very cool. They kind of look like Komodo dragons, monitor lizards. Yeah, there's a little bit of that in there, I think. Again, I kind of feel like if you want that slither, it has to have a bit of that. How big are these worms? So they'll each have 2 ages, so they'll have like an adult and then an elder. And I imagine the adults are, depending on the species, I imagine like the average would probably be, I'm trying to think of it in feet. Like 20 foot long for the adults, and then like 30, 40 for the elders. Yeah, maybe I think the underarm thing is a really there's might be a rich vein we can mine there visually. Let's put this guy here for now, because then I guess it would be a thing of, I'm just trying to think how it would move. Because you'd want it to, if we did like a top-down view, give it that like serpentine. You give it a bit of a monitor, like, you know how monitors have got like the frilly puff neck thing? You give it a bit of that maybe. I mean, we can keep its body all like thick tail as well. Keep its body all sort of similar in line like that. And then they could have like shorter back legs, more like a crocodile. And then the arms could be a lot more, I'm going to run out of room actually, if I try and draw these arms here. The arms could be a lot more, I guess, like half, like semi-winged. So they more come out from underneath it. And then have a bit more of like a splaying thing coming out like this, that you wouldn't maybe notice when it's moving across the ground. The largest sugar gliders we ever did see. Oh, yeah. Should I look at sugar glider reference, or is that just going to poison me? So the thing you're driving is more on the lines of a lindworm rather than a regular worm, because the true worm has no limbs. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, I think in order to feel like a dragon, it's got to have legs. Otherwise especially if it doesn't have wings, I think it either needs wings and if it's got no legs, it needs wings to still be a dragon. And if it's got no wings, it needs legs. I don't think there's any, I can't explain that if you question me on it, so don't, but that's how I feel. With it being an illusionist, I always imagine it kind of frilled. Oh. That's interesting. Maybe, yeah, like maybe it projects imagery almost, like it sort of shines off of its frills when it presents them forwards. That could be cool. Having a constant stream of vapor coming from its mouth, causing little clouds to obscure vision. That's cool as well. Yeah, well, I think the classic, like the view of a dragon very classically in a lot of folklore stuff is, at least in British folklore stuff, is that sort of like slumbering like beast that has, you know, that sort of trail coming up from it, from each of its nostrils. It's the Smaug thing a little bit. I don't know why, but the way this thing looks like it would move is almost like it would drag itself along as much as it would like worm its way along, which is quite cool. Basilisk could count as a worm. Yeah, yeah, maybe. You know how like you get like the lesser draconic creatures. I mean Behir. I was gonna say I think Behir is actually the word Behir is, that's from Scottish folklore. That's a dragon that was primarily associated with lightning, which is how you get the D&D monster Behir, I think. You have to fact check me on that though. Okay. Maybe I should try. Let's try a. Let me hide these for a second. Try a bit of a side-on view and see if that immediately brings us anything. Elongate the tail more. Make it a touch more prehensile. Oh, see, yeah, I mean, that's interesting, because I was thinking, I mean, a lot of Faerie is based on British landscape, so it's primarily like hills, moors, there are forests and stuff, very big ones, where that could be useful, though. Look up them. Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, is that the big massive one that you fight? Does it have a sword at one point, Aston? The magma thing? Or am I making that up? I feel like it's got this big sword that it drags around as well. To question your philosophy on wings or legs, does it need to be quadruped? Or... I think, so the reason that I'm making it quadruped is because in the lore of Faerie, these are true dragons. So they are meant to go sort of against the category of the metallics, the gems, the chromatics from standard 5e. So in my head I was sort of, I think the four-legged look leans into that a little bit more, whereas I think if you start taking away limbs like legs and stuff, they very quickly start to look more like wyverns, or drakes and that kind of thing. What is the element of pyrite? Because I was thinking something along the lines of blight, but carries with it a terrible disease. So pyrite is all about, so the poison that if you get bit by a pyrite worm, your blood becomes flammable. So the way the mechanics of all of the worms work is that none of them have breath weapons. They all have poisons that have like rider effects, and then their recharge ability, so they're like roll a 5 or a 6 and a d6. That ability is, when that goes off, it ignites whatever the poison is and does the effect. So the fight against a worm becomes a lot about denying poison, curing the poison, that kind of thing, or a lot of them like accrue poison marks rather than the poison condition, because obviously that would be brutal if every single one of them just gave you disadvantage immediately on everything. So that becomes the point of the fight. So with the pyrite one, it makes your blood like flammable, and then when it like clamps its jaws together, was my thinking, it would spark, and in the radius around it, anyone that had succumbed to that poison would light on fire. Which I think we can all agree is a very bad time for everyone. Let me have a go at drawing some aside on so that we can get. So did we, this like long neck thing, did we like that? Again, I think I'm pulling on Bloodworm a little bit from House of Dragons with that one. Like that sort of body shape with the, I mean, you could have the arms like this. Obviously we'll bulk them up a little bit. But if you have the arms like that, you can, would give you a way to hide that wing that we were talking about. I feel like I'm drawing a lot of very long arms for Faerie. I don't know why. That just seems to be coming up a lot. I don't hate it though. So instead of kind of brewing the fuel into a venom through its fangs, instead of expunging it. Yeah, so it doesn't like spray the poison at you, it's more like the poison, it injects the poison into you, and then that has the rider effect. So, oh, but pyrite's not flint. Sorry, I was thinking of flint. The pyrite one, that makes you see illusions. Is the thing that the illusory thing does, yeah. Yes, Jay, you're right. I was mixing up pyrite with flint because I'm stupid. But we haven't got to that bit of the design yet, so it's fine. Sam says, I'm imagining the pyrite metallic skin colour infused with cracks of deep emerald green. Yeah, I don't know what oxide looks like on pyrite, or can pyrite even get oxide? But this is... Here's some pyrite. I do really like that the crystals form very cuboid. I feel like that has to be a part of the design. Gives a grasshopper-like silhouette. You may want to pull them up for reference. It does, but now that you've said that, I don't know if I want it to give a grasshopper silhouette, because that's not scary. I mean, it depends how it moves. Like, I'm basically thinking that it drags itself with these big arms, sort of like it head down, and then as it's like slinking around a thing, it's sort of got these arms dragging it along as it goes. And then when you sort of, when it, you know, when you're battling and stuff, it would kind of rear up in a much more like it could pull its whole body weight up like that. Which also does feel a little bit more in line with some of the more, like some of the etchings and stuff from the time period of what that folklore might look like, or at least the post, like the pre-Victorian era when they were doing all that sort of stuff. I've given this one a bit of like a snub-nosed snake thing. But yeah, that's what I'm sort of, that's where my brain's at the minute. I like the idea of the poison inciting greed in the play. Oh, that's very cool, Jake. Yeah, because it is fool's gold. That is very cool. I'm going to write that down. I'm also going to put illusion under it because we had that pinned. That's very cool though. Pyrite is a mix of iron and sulfur. Well, the poison thing makes elemental sense as well then. Yeah, it would be cool to have a dragon greed one. That's a great idea. Love that. Oh, because it looks a bit more like gold or... Jake, you're on fire. I mean, the ideas this evening have already been fantastic. Of everyone. Yeah, big cuboid jawline. Yeah. I as well, I also imagine these worms are sort of the precursors to... In my, like, you know, head canon of it. That's not canon yet because I haven't written down in the book yet, but I imagine they're to a certain extent the sort of precursors to the true dragons, which might mean the sort of vestigial wings thing it's vestigial in the sense that like it's the preamble to wings in a way. I mean, I don't hate them without back legs, you know. Now that I went on that whole... Kitsu questioned me on it, and now that I'm looking at it, and I do quite like them without the back legs as well. I mean, hold on, let me draw them on and see. Because it would also be cool, like, if he's in this position, it is cool to have the sort of knees following behind, as it's sort of very, again, very like crocodilian lizard-like, to help it scale. But I do like the idea that they're very long. Maybe they roost in cabins in caves and sleep on the walls and look like gold veins. Oh, Steve, that's fantastic. How do we make it so that you guys can just do this, help me with the whole book this way? Because this is... This is fantastic. Okay. Very sick. Pity the dwarf who gets greedy and tries to chip a bit off. Yeah. That's very wicked. I mean, how is this, like, visually, silhouette-wise? How is this... Is this inciting what we're kind of, what we're looking for? Because it's working for me. It's different enough that I quite like it. For Pyrite, your Kitsu, your head goes like King Cobra. I like that too. I like that too. There could be something there, like when it King Cobras have like that hood like that, don't they? I do like that as well. I like the idea of a component of it being sort of hidden, even though the thing itself is hidden. I do like the idea of it rearing up. You know the scene in Jurassic Park where with the frilled dino, and it sort of looks mildly adorable, and then it opens its frill and it's immediately far more terrifying. So I think there is the idea of like a fool's gold pyrite dragon thing that almost looks, especially if it's sort of sleeping in cracks where it's maybe consumed the ore in the crack and then replaced it or something similar, and then it emerges and it's got some kind of weird, like it looks maybe docile until the frill kind of puffs up. Oh, the back... Oh. Let's have a look. Where are we at? Oh, we do have a backer train going. That's wicked. 165k. That is incredible. Thank you, everyone who's backed. That's we really didn't expect everyone showing up as much as they have. It's been very, very humbling. I don't know what that is in dollars though. Let me do that math real quick. $216,000. If I wasn't so sleep deprived, that would probably shatter me. Oh, Nimble's train went for ages. That's wicked. That's very cool. I believe as well, Aston told me earlier that I believe if there are Nimble backers here, that like cross backers, I'm not going to confirm this because we haven't done the final math, but I believe we might have passed that sort of stretch goal to include the Coven of Wart and have a bit more of a like fleshed out booklet for the Witch for cross backers, which is wicked. I don't know if that's 100% yet though, so again, don't quote me on it, but it looks like maybe that's what's happened, which is wicked. Jim says it could rest in rivers or streams where pyrite. That's true. I've literally found pyrite in rivers before, and in ammonites. I have a fool's gold ammonite I found when I was a kid on a beach, which is really cool. But that is cool because that's like going back to what everyone's like been saying, like Jake and Steve and stuff as well. Like I'm saying like a lot. Sorry. I found that ammonite and I was blown away because I really thought it was gold. I was like, oh my god, a fossil and this made of gold? That was the best day of my life. And then my parents told me later that it was not real gold. But that does lean into the whole thing of them looking like treasure until you pick one up and then it's, oh no. David says... Oh, we're the third... What, we're the third project you've ever backed? That's really cool. Thank you very much. We had a lot of people who'd never backed like anything before back us as their first, which is really, really, again, very humbling, very very cool to see. I can't wait to sort of get it all put together and get it in your hands. A little bit away yet, but it's going to be really, really wicked. And if anyone here wants to head to our Discord, I think Aston's got a link as well, where we'll obviously be doing regular updates and stuff on the backer kit, but if you want to talk to us a bit more regularly, you know, behind the scenes and stuff, that's where we'll be. Fool's Gold fossils are cool. They're very, very cool. I mean, it's the closest you'll probably get to a gold fossil, I imagine, because I don't think the fossilization process lends itself to actual gold being in there. But yeah, they are really rad. I also found a Fool's Gold ichthyosaur vertebrae once, which I will say looks less cool than an ammonite, but once you know what it is, I think we can all agree, like, the spine off a sea monster being made of Fool's Gold is sick as hell. Oh, Robin, we were your we were the first one you backed. That's wicked. That's very cool. Hopefully we don't... Well, actually, I was going to say hopefully we don't spawn an addiction, but there's just so many creators making so much cool stuff that you can do it. Kitsu. I've got to redrop this in case he's still here. Fudgesicle had asked a while ago about a Blade Song possibility for the Witch. Oh, you mean like sort of like a Gish version of the Witch? Me and Aston talked about that, and we're still going back and forth a little bit. It won't be in this book, if there is, but potentially in later books or in supplements, or I don't know. But as it stands, we felt like with the Coven of Hunt being in the book, which has got like quite a lot of damage dealing potential martially because of the buffed familiar, and then with the Witch Knight as well, it sort of felt like in terms of witch plus martial, we'd sort of covered our bases in this one. Fudgesicle likes the idea of a granny beating someone up with a shoe and then casting curses. Well, if you want to flavour your Athame that way, I will not stand in your way. And if your DM disagrees with you, you can get an audio clip of me saying this, and hopefully that will be all the credit you need to allow that to happen. Steve says, I like the idea of them being smaller than the other worms, having to be cunning. Yeah, yes. That was a little bit of why we wrote into the lore already, was just that part of the reason they're sort of more illusion based was purely because they're inherently a little weaker, a little bit, you know, smaller, which I think is really cool. I do really like this. I don't know if the Cobra Hood I want a frill thing though. I don't know if the Cobra Hood is the way. Maybe we take this then and work with this. So I think there's something there, and obviously the final piece of art I'm gonna have to spend hours going back and forth on. But if we can get a really, if we can get a basis down now, then I'll have something really cool to work with when I get to that point. Okay. Yeah, because you could literally do the frill thing, couldn't you? Like, oh, now it looks like a sunflower. It looks like the baby from Teletubbies, if anyone's seen that. But that might be too much of a... There's not going to be any British people in this chat right now. Teletubbies? That didn't show in America. I don't think, anyway. Although I mean, it being like pyrite, like gold, and looking a bit sun-like when it frills, I don't hate that. I don't know why I went like hognose snake as the look, but it's kind of working a little bit for me. I'm gonna get rid of that frill. It's not doing it. Yeah, so it needs, I think, try not making the frills a complete circle. Oh, what, more like a mohawk kind of thing? So something like, like a Spinosaurus kind of thing, like it would go like that across the, it would like pop out. There's that, what is it, Zoidberg from Futurama has that on his head. Jake says, hey Connor, if you're going with the stream and rivers idea, then make sure to add frills to help it swim. Good shout. Yeah, it'll have to look like it can at least move. Although there is that whole thing of like it being a bit river snake-wise. No, not a mohawk. The opposite of a mohawk. Okay. The opposite. Okay. The opposite of a mohawk. I'm just gonna go with my gut. The opposite of a mohawk to me feels like mutton chops. Look, frill out. That can't be what you meant though. Right, Steve? I mean, I am doing a bad job of it though. Like, they'd probably be more like down here even if they were like that. Like, they would frill out at the bottom like that. A beard hawk. Frills on the oh. like they come out like this. I feel like I nailed that. But tell me if I'm wrong. I agree, a snake with mutton chops is terrifying. I think the only thing that could ever really make a snake even more terrifying is if it had a well-manicured facial hair. Because that means he planned for this, you know? That does feel quite cool. Nailed it. Okay, cool. I saved you the work of having to find a reference. And then it's just the fact, like, it's a thing of, they're obviously serpentine, so you want to get, I'm just going to move that a little bit so that it doesn't interfere with the neck, so that you can see the curvature of the neck still. You still want it to be, if it's pyrite, it still needs to feel square to an extent. But I guess it depends where that is. Like, do you give it like a big pyrite, like beard looking, like not beard, but you know what I mean, sort of more of a pyrite chin and that sort of thing? Because you do want to keep it smooth alongside the squareness of it. Or do you do like just blocky overall design? Kids who'd almost go full circle with it. Right. Got you. What's they like? They more like connect closer in the middle, like up here. Not connect, but you know, get a bit closer like that. Fudgesicle. Not gonna lie, the worm reminds me of Salamence if it went on a diet. I'm gonna avoid the color scheme of Salamence then to make sure that doesn't look like that's what we did. What if the frill grew out of it in a crystalline formation and retracted rather than flat? Oh, okay. So like what? So it's less fleshy. It looks more like metallic crystals. Yeah, it might be that the pyrite is like more or pyrite tail. I mean, that feels like we have to do that because that feels like a no-brainer in terms of like visual design. Yeah, I do like the idea of it. It's that weird thing of like combining something that feels very inorganic with something that is meant to clearly be primarily organic, like not in an elemental way, but this thing's meant to like slither around a bunch. I think when it's shining as well, that will help accentuate the design a lot. Yeah, because if it's a folding frill, like a frilled lizard, yeah. Yeah. Hey Connor, do you know the Pokemon Haxorus? No, I can Google it though. Haxorus. Oh, I do know that Pokemon. Oh yeah, it has got... You don't have to say it, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's got a very similar... That looks like a Pyrite Dragon in a way. Oh, it looks a bit like a Typhite. Okay, well the other way you could go instead of it like having them go high. I mean, we can go back to that if we still like it, but you could also have them go like low. You could have the design weighted like down here. Would be a way of doing it. That eye looks way too peaceful. They need to look a little mean, I feel like. They need to look sharp, I guess. You've Steve's changed his vote again to no frill. You're fickle. That's what I'm learning about you. I feel like it needs it. I do like the frills. Just needs workshopping into something that I think will fit, because I think it inherently does bring a bit of that like poison lizard thing into it, which is cool. I was just experimenting with some more geometric stuff. But then I suppose if we were going for like the ore thing, like if it's meant to look like ore, then I suppose like its body primarily would look like covered in pyrite, I imagine. I mean, you could build a bit of a pyrite spine on its back, where the main bulk of it is, and that's the bit that sticks out of the wall. And then, to be fair, that's kind of cool, because then you could have like a more soft lizard-like kind of underbelly thing going on. And that's why it sort of sleeps in the crags in the wall, because its back is where it's most armoured. So it buries itself in sort of the wall of stone to keep its more lizard-like underbelly protected. Something like that. Yeah, like spines. Pyrite spine is even cooler if you magic curling up on the floor. Yeah, yeah. Random bits of pyrite ore sporadically around the skin. Yes. I think as well when I get to like the color design painting side of it, that's going to be a lot easier to get in there. Yes, yeah, like sleeping in the cracks, like fissures in a mine. Exactly. I feel like it could have had. Hold on. Golden spine. That is literally what you just said, Jake, but I wasn't reading it when you said that, so we'll say that we both had a great idea at the exact same moment. Imagine imagine a miner hitting what they think is a vein of gold, but it's actually... Yeah, because it would be disappointment twice, because they'd hit a vein and go, oh my god, I hit gold, and then they would go, oh, no, it's just fool's gold, and then they would go, oh no, it's actually worse than both those things, it's going to kill me. Yeah, a bit of camouflage, bit of defense. Checked. I need to look up. I was locked in, dude. I was cooking, alright? Some firepower. Oh, is our backer train coming to a close? We've done very well. We've done incredibly well. 3 minutes. We'll see. If it ends here, I'm very, very happy. Yeah, because I also think this head looks a little like it almost needs something to bring it out a bit, and those frills were working in that regard. I mean, you could have like a stacked frill thing, right, where it's like multiple frills come out, sort of fold out. That's quite cool. I have not settled on what I want its head to look like in terms of visual design. At the minute, yeah, I'm going like very snake-like in that way. Ooh, that did something. There's something there, I feel like. Thanks, Jake. Well, I think if we will be others like this, where we can all pitch in and make some cool monsters together. Because it's, I mean, talking about veins of ore, this one's been a rich one. We got a lot of ideas, which is really cool. I almost want to go like a bit more bulbous on the underneath, just to really accentuate like the flesh side of it. But yeah, this is definitely. I feel like we've really got somewhere with this. Give it some big claws. Do we like them being legless? Are we all on board for that? Again, I do like this thing up here though. Like this. This is working. Oh. Oh, the train got extended? Oh wow. I'm trying not to look at it too much because it's gonna drive me mad. But you guys keep looking at it for me. Yeah, I think we can still have these back legs because that does give them a like a true dragon thing that is really cool. I just need to make sure that it fits with the body shape and stuff. you know what? That needs to go down a little bit. This is what so much of my my job looks like when I'm illustrating monsters, is just like squiggles upon squiggles until eventually a thing emerges out of it, and then it's like, ooh. That's what we're going with. I think definitely want to go a bit crocodilian on that. I mean, this is like their tail, this sort of thick tail feels very crocodilian as well, which I think is probably the best way to do dragon meets serpent without going full snake on it. Yeah, that's definitely the vibe. Like, I was thinking like it crawling over a crag or a hill or something similar. It's good to do movement sketches when you're doing design, just so that because the more you know how a thing moves, the better you can inform how it's put together, anatomically speaking. Because it doesn't always have to make sense, but it has to like not make sense, if that makes sense. Like, if a person looks at a creature and immediately their brain can't just fill in the gaps as to how it works, I feel like as far as monster design goes, you missed a trick. Make its back legs like talons so that it can hook onto cave roofs like a bat. That's cool, yeah. Well, the thing is, I almost imagine like it yeah, because it would want to do that, because it would, I imagine, like, say you've got a cave like here. Say this is your cave interior, right? And like this is the interior walls and whatnot. I imagine that you almost want it to be able to move like up anywhere on the cave. Like, it should be able to be like here, clinging, or here, you know? Like, it needs to be able to move around the entire cave almost completely unhindered. Which it almost gives it a bit of a like otherworldly creep in a way that the way that a lot of dragons don't. This is I cannot remember who the artist was, so you'll have to forgive me, but there was an artist and she did these great they were like bird designs. I'm not to encourage the coin dragon thing too much, but I can't help myself. They were like these really wicked, they looked like pigeons, sort of. Like, they were based on pigeons anyway. I think. I could be completely wrong on that. But I remember seeing them and they sort of looked, I think they were part of a world building project she was doing. But they had like where it wasn't there, the coin wasn't exactly where their head was, it was like where the stump of their neck would be. There would be like a coin, like that. Which I thought was so sick. That's such a cool idea for a creature. I think they were messengers for her world building project. It's annoying I can remember so much about the amazing lore and art she did and not her name. Or their name. I can't remember. But you should, I'm sure you can find it if you Google it. But I did note that down because I was like, oh, that might be something there design-wise for a coin creature. To start out. Is this a creature that has legendary actions? You give them gem-like eyes, which they could hypnotize players. Yeah, so I think, do adult dragons in D&D have legendary actions? I believe it's not just the ancients. So there will be like an adult and an ancient version of this. So I'm assuming they'll both kind of have the requisite action economy, if that's legendary actions. Do you know what? What I think is, I think we've got enough here that we can kind of stamp this one for now. I think we've come up with some really cool ideas, and we can maybe explore the Gert dog for a little bit. Because I really I feel like I need to hit my head against the wall for 3 hours with this design until I've got like a final piece of art that I can then show everybody. But this has been extremely fruitful, and I feel like this boy right here is looking scary. Aston, you're supposed to be moderating chat, not encouraging it. Okay, I'm gonna call the Pyrite Dragon done with an asterisk. Because I think we got something here that's... I'm also going to figure out how to get these flightless like wing things in, because I think that's really sick as well. Yeah, indeed. Oh, yeah. The method of an artist. I shall disappear and then emerge at an undetermined time, either very early or slightly late, bearing handfuls of sleepless made art. I mean, that's what happened with the Bloom War. Like, we finished that, and then immediately after the stream ended, I just spent an hour and a half at like 2 a.m. in the morning creating that, because I just had to, because it was rife, absolutely rife. What was the request? Can I make the sketch available somewhere? Yeah, definitely. Well, they'll be in the book as well. I'm going to use all of these sketches as like background elements in the book when I do the design, so they will also be in the book. Definitely, in some form. Pyrite coins. Pyrite coins would just be cubes of metal, I feel like. Yeah, Aston's not next to me right now, so he can't fling things at me. And now I'm just hoping he forgets about that before the next time I see him. Okay, so we'll call that a tick. Sick as hell. I think we're all very stoked with that. So, should we give the Gert Dog a try? Push away from lizards. Something a bit more canine, a bit more mammal. See what you got in the bank. Because I know you got... Listen, you've set the bar very high with the ideas on the dragon, so... Cubic dragon eggs is very cool, Sam. Yeah. Oh, God, now I have to write. I'm trying to move on from this so that we can do even more art, because I'm trying to use you all to do my job for me. And you're not letting me because you keep coming up with cool ideas. Oh, yeah. Pyrite dragon egg is very... That feels, again, very, very sick. I'm going to write that down as well. Very, very cool. Okay. Coin Weasel. What is going on? What did how did we get to Coin Weasel? Coin Dog. Oh, okay. Coin Dog and then Coin... I get it. I get it. Start with the Death Hand from Skyrim and make it your own. Okay. Well, should we can have a... Let's we throw up. Nope, that's... Good dog. Right. So I'm gonna put Drink's blood instead of vampiric, because we don't... It doesn't have to be vampiric in the like monster way. I think it's definitely evil. Hound. Let's have a look at... Let me get some reference. What am I looking at? Death Hand from Skyrim. Sorry, I have my pen now. Death Hand Skyrim. Oh, okay, I get you. I get you. It's like a skeletal zombie dog a little bit. Okay. That's cool. It looks a bit like if Red Skull was a dog. Well, the thing that I wanted to look at as well was obviously there's a bunch of dogs that are endemic to the British Isles that we could pull from as well. Some British dog breeds. Yeah, I mean Irish Wolfhound might be a cool. Or a Deerhound. They're very cool. English Bulldog. Oh, maybe a Staffy. Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Malcolm asked Aston and Conor, curious if you've been inspired at all by the books of Susan Cooper, Alan... Is that Alan Garner? Or Injection by Warren Ellis? I don't know them off the top of my head. Aston might though. But yeah, Aston might. I don't. I did just buy a massive collection of Faerie books called, I think they're called The Dictionary of English Folklore, that are very old and extremely hard to get a hold of. Oh, 30 seconds. We have done fantastic. I'm going to wait to do the spiel until after it closes though, because just in case. There it is. There it is. Thank you everybody who's backed. We really, really appreciate it. £165,000 is insane. Truly insane. Not at all expected. Wild, absolutely wild. Let me get the art thing back up. I've got a bit of reference material now. Deerhound, Wolfhound, Death Dog. And I'll grab a Hellhound one as well. We'll have a full update tomorrow that will have a bit of an update as to what's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks with surveys and all those kinds of things. So that sort of information you can expect pretty soon. Okay, hold on. I'm very nearly done with my reference. It's hard to get like reference of. There we go. I'm just going to take this whole page here, put it in, and then we'll call it done. There we go. Okay. Right. So this is the reference that I've got. Oh, I missed a bunch of chat. Thanks everyone that's saying congrats. Thank you for being here. Thanks David, thanks Sam. Oh, you came from Nimble, Stacey. Wicked. Steve says, I'll be working a convention in Seattle until the second week of next month, but if I'm allowed to upgrade after that, I will. I have more coins to spend. wicked. Okay, yeah, so this is what I got for reference material. So I got the Death Dog from Skyrim. And I got... This is a Scottish Deerhound right here. Which is like it's kind of like a skinnier Irish Wolfhound, that's what these two big boys are. And then I just put in like Hellhound and saw what came up. This is kind of cool. That sort of skull vibe is very wicked. Lots of teeth. And then there's the more like classic Black Hound, Shuck kind of vibe. This is also horrific in the best way. Flesh Dog. Yeah, the wolf. The reason I popped the Wolfhound on those just because there might be something there. It would be cool to do something a little different than like the I feel like some of the best stuff comes from when it's weird combinations of things. This one's very hyena-like, which is cool. Also, I mean, there's a bunch of ways it could drink blood, right? So it could with teeth, right? Like it could be doing it with teeth. It could do. It could also be doing it with like. Again, this is because I watched Blade the other day, but they had the Pomeranian in Blade had like a tongue, like its mouth opened like that, like its jaw unhinged at the bottom, and then it had one row of teeth there, one row of teeth there, and then teeth there, and then it had like a weird tongue that came out of it that I think also had teeth, like that. Which is horrific. So you could do something like that. Mosquito tongue that rolls up. Instead of a tail, give it a strong. Horrible. That is bad in a good way, but horrific. Palmies are a hound, but shifting to almost mosquito sting proboscis. We could try like the mosquito route. So it's like, I mean, to be fair, the long snoot on this boy could work for that. Because sometimes it's creepier if it's almost not inherently. So do you do like the proboscis like on its face, like or there all the time, or do you do it like hidden? And it would be horrible to just see a dog with what is essentially a hypodermic needle emerging from its face. Oh, more scavengers than predators. Oh, okay, yeah. So there's almost like you can make them look a bit more sad than scary, I guess. Wolfhound with Cthulhu head tentacles. Again, horrific, but could definitely be something there. External skull design with putting the proboscis on the outer skull and a normal maw within. Oh. Oh, okay. Malcolm says, highly recommend Dark is Rising sequence. An Eldor by Alan Garner. I feel like Eldor than read Weirdstone. Oh, okay, cool. I will write those down. Like a butterfly, it rolls. Okay, we need to draw these options out. So we've got, because the one where it's like permanently out, almost to me feels like it would sort of from the front you'd see like dog like that, and then it would be like long with like the skull thing going on like that, which is horrible. Like, but then also the skull thing does work, because I could also see the skull like if you just have like a full dog skull like that. Again, I'm not using reference, so you have to bear with me if I butcher it a little bit. And then that's what the thing like emerges from. Oh. And then don't butterflies have the thing like that, right? And then it like, and then it does that, like unfurls like a, what are they called, the party streamer things that you blow in? Oh, Sam said any update on the battle between the Willow and the Hag? Ooh, no. What's the final? We could pause real quick now that the campaign's ended and have a look at what the final count was on her modifier for that battle. 44 likes, which is what? That's a plus. Plus 10 to the roll, plus... Hold on, let me do the math. It's a DC 25 that she had to beat. So... Aston, actually, would you be able to do the math on the likes and the comments? Like, divide the last few comments into 3s and then divide the likes by 5 and tell me what modifier she's got to that roll. I was thinking like a retracting proboscis that kind of makes it look normal until boom, long snoot. Okay. Chronicles of what? Chronicles of Pearden. Malcolm, I feel like you're absolutely stocked with book suggestions. Yeah, true. If it was consistently long, how many objects would it bump its head into? I suppose it depends how long, because it would walk around with it pointing towards things. But you are right, that does seem cumbersome. Imagine bringing a stray dog in one day, thinking everything is fine, and the moment you are caught lacking, it starts drinking you. Awful. Absolutely awful. Yeah, so the reason I was going away from... I do like the idea of it almost like the head being like that shaped, which is the very mosquito thing. Like if that's the... Let me get this curled up proboscis out of the way. Not a sentence I've ever said before. Because then that does look silhouette-wise, as far as a monster piece, you know, that's something that you would immediately recognize. It's a plus 16 final modifier. It does look a bit like a kiwi bird, which makes it that makes it much less scary now that you've said that. Yeah, that's true with the helmet thing, Kitsy. That's, yeah. So it's like, I suppose you would see the skull, like that. And it would look normal, and then maybe from the side you'd see, like, I'm just trying to think where it would be cool to have, if it's got that proboscis thing, it would be cool to have, like, I guess it curled under like that, like the butterfly thing. like that. Like you have it like curled under it. Maybe even, yeah, so that it's like connected to it's like there. And then it extends outwards like that. How's that? Sorry, I'm looking at chat now. Yeah, like retract and extend, yeah. The chompy tongue thing, yeah, I suppose you could, but the thing is, I almost feel like the needle is a bit more, I suppose you could put a little one on there. It's almost like the needle feels creepier, though, in a way that's quite cool. Extend it could be like a surprise attack, like, oh, I'm just a cute doggy, and then boom. Yeah. Oh, Jake, sorry. If you said something that we missed it, just put it again. When my head's down drawing, I can't see the chat. Oh, I also imagine, like, if you're down... Imagine, the thing that jumped to my head was, imagine you're on a battlefield, and you're not killed, but, like, injured greatly, like legs broken or something, and you're pulling your way, the battle's sort of over, and you've knocked out, and you wake up, and you're in the middle of it, dead bodies everywhere, and you can see like dogs moving through the battlefield, which isn't great, but also they're dogs, and you start to like try and drag yourself away until one of them sort of gets closer and closer and closer, and as it gets closer you see like viscera emerge from underneath this weird skull as like the long proboscis emerges. Horrible stuff. What about a semi-physical body? It has bones and organs, but its flesh is made of ectoplasm-like substance. Oh, that's quite cool. Oh, do you know what that reminds me of? You know the mist creatures from Mistborn? Those weird like semi-see-through monsters. You can make the needle split 3 ways down the middle. Oh, so it's like... What, so it does like more of like this sort of thing? Ugh. Gross. Kitsu thinks that maybe shortening it a little bit. Try that. Well, so it's just a little bit more like... I mean, you could also have it like so that it's like a trough that has a tongue in the middle. So it's like meant to, it's like a quill of a pen where it's meant to like inject, and then there's like a tongue in it that laps up all the good stuff. I feel like the needle is scarier because it's just kind of naturally sharp. Yeah, like the hypodermic thing for some reason. Like the idea, if you presented 2 monsters to me, one of them's got big teeth and one of them has a single big tooth that it just puts in you, that feels way more invasive. It's also like its job is not to chew you apart or anything. Its job is just to stick that deep and then get all the goop out. It could also inflict poison through the proboscis or maybe blight. Yeah, if you had a blight version of it, you could totally give it a like a necrotic poison blight thing going on with it. This is definitely cool though. What we've got here, what we've workshopped there, is very sick. It's also kind of like, you know, when you get like dogs that are just really drooly and they have a lot of jowls, it feels like this like sort of folded up proboscis thing, whatever that ends up looking like, is sort of leaning on that a little bit, which I like. It's very cool. And then the see-through thing as well I really like, Because then it's all, I do like that's really cool, because then you could see the blood going in. You know how like with ticks and stuff like that, they've got the sort of see-through abdomen, so you can see them filling up as they drink blood. Some bugs have toxins that liquefy inside, so they can be sucked out. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Spiders have that, don't they? Some of them. That's why I imagine the tuberoscus. That was the yeah. Ooh. Yeah, well, the tongue thing might be like the happy middle ground of that, I guess, because it still feels weirdly dog-like for them to have a tongue that laps up. So it's more, to be honest, it's like, I guess the proboscis, sort of like a really microscopic view of it, could be like, it is literally like the quill of a pen that's like meant to bore out a very small tunnel like that, and then it's got the sort of tongue inside of it that does the action of like lapping the stuff. You reckon curved horns, Jake? I mean, we could try curved horns on it. What, like ram horns like these? Thing is, then, that does get very devilish, and I do quite like the idea of it being quite understated and canine. Like, he almost looks like a dog from a distance until, you know, bleh. Okay, Aston hates it. That's usually a good sign. What does this creature sound like on the battlefield? What if it makes a whistle rather than a bark? Ooh. Do you know what I'm thinking? Is it sounds like it's breathing through a straw all the time. Like, its breath almost is constantly laboured because it's sort of sucking air through the proboscis. This is sufficiently horrible enough. Ears up or down, folded or pointed. And that's interesting. Do we want it to have ears? I guess is the first question. But then if we did, like, if we're going off this wolfhound look a little bit, not saying we are, but if we were, they do have their ears down, which I do like, because I think these things, if they're like battlefield scavengers, there's something inherently creepier about a creature that's almost sad than there is about a creature that's constantly being predatory. And down ears feel submissive in a way that is like almost makes them weirder, I guess. Definitely makes them weirder. More like antlers if it's a deer hunter species. Oh. Like these. Do you know what the thing is though? If you put antlers on a dog, it starts to look a lot like Max from The Grinch. God, I'm just nothing but movie references. Yeah, exactly right. You think it's a normal dog, and then by the time it gets close enough for you to realise what it is, especially if you're already incapacitated, it's game over, and not in a fun way. Yes, yeah, so it's making ears almost naturally up so it fits the look. Oh, okay, we could try that as well. Let's give that a go. So like to elongate the head, that kind of thing. The only thing with that is that I'm thinking is that the elongated ears look a bit more Doberman-y, and that it looks a bit more guard dog, whereas I almost think they're creepier if they're more of a like you have your guard down kind of creature, right? Like you think it's like the soft down ears do make it look like creepier. We could also we could go no ears. Oh god, they are horrible. I don't even like looking at it. Maybe these are mortal dogs that over time have had to survive on Fae blood, which has corrupted them. That's pretty cool. That's cool. Yeah, and I do like Jake's idea of having them be where are we? Oh, I've drawn that onto the reference image one. Oh well, I'm committing. Of having them be see-through on the inside is really cool. Because then I think again once you bring color into it, then you've immediately got. I also think their neck should be almost joined onto it a little bit. The proboscis, because then you've got that thing of them like, as they drink blood, you can see their organs and you can see the blood filling them up, and they're getting more and more red as they drink more and more. Yeah, but like almost straight verticals, like on an ibex. Oh, is that more like this, like straight up like this, like Anubis style, like more of an Egyptian hound thing going on with them? Bone spikes or quills, try them. Where do we want those though, if we were doing that? I will say, I like the thing, they look almost, if they're like translucent and fleshy, I do think that them being like weirdly smooth and hairless, like not too bony beyond the head, is what gives them a little bit of a creep factor that we quite like. Because then you could have like a bony tail that's again just like weirdly see-through. Oh, horrid. A mane of quills. Or maybe it's transparent until they've eaten, and then they look more and more like an actual dog. Yeah, that's quite cool. Quills along the spine like a Rhodesian Ridgeback a little bit. Like, something like that. I mean, I don't hate that either. That looks weirdly mosquito-y as well because of the hair thing. That's pretty. That is looking pretty grim in a great way. Yeah, I'm thinking like semi-translucent, like in, you know, like that kind of maggot look almost like gelatin in the sense of like opaque, whitely opaque flesh would look really cool. This is horrid in the best way, obviously. This is, I guess also it's a thing of like, if it can get its still having fangs on there, so if it can get its proboscis deep enough into a thing, it can like latch with the fangs. This is a monster for sure. Maybe it looks normal till it starts to glow. Oh, it glowing would be cool. Like you could have like coming out of the eyes. If I just throw a colour on for a second, like as it fills up, obviously we could go red as well, would probably be the way to go, but I've picked blue now, so like it starts to glow as it fills up with the ichor. Oh, I mean, that's very cool, and like I feel like we did get quite a lot of the like Irish wolfhound thing in there, which is wicked. Can I just say thanks for letting us vomit ideas at you while you create? It gives us a lot of ownership over the final product. I know you're showing off the pirate. Well, I mean, it's not purely altruistic because you are giving me a ton of great ideas, which I may never have had otherwise, so we'll call it mutually beneficial. Surrounded by will-o'-the-wisps from past victims, that's very cool. If they scavenge, I would swap out latching with, again, that kind of disjointing curl of picking up coagulated blood off wounds. Yeah, the thing is that I think the thing like with designing, obviously yes, and they are scavengers. I think the thing with designing a D&D monster a little bit is that at some point the intent is that they're going to attack something that's alive, which is the players. So you kind of have to bake that in a little bit. Because I mean, hyenas are scavengers. They still kill stuff, you know. So I feel like having a bit of both, little column A, little column B, makes them a bit more playable, right? Yeah, the souls. Yeah, that is very cool. Yeah, like maybe the sort of the more potent and powerful they get, the more lights they're sort of clouded with. I'll write that down as well. Very wicked. Yeah, and I like this like weird, like the flesh joint thing of like potentially like its jaw was once here, but it isn't anymore, and it's kind of it sort of just goes neck into like flesh frill here where the needle emerges. Is very gross. Yeah, anything will kill if it's hungry enough, for sure. And I guess if these things were dogs, I mean, they do scavenge, but they are also, you know, pack hunters, so it would have some of that still in it a little bit. Oh, okay, you like a pseudo tentacle rather than a needle. I mean, to be fair, with the tongue thing, you can maybe get a bit of both of that in there. Like, it's still the needle, but then it's also got, like, the tongue. Fangs could have a paralyzing toxin, which would be... oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah, like, that's the thing that... oh, ugh, shivers, yeah. But, yeah, that's great. Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah. So you can't move and just have to sit there while that's happening. Yeah, because that would be great. Yeah, it's also that thing of maybe it's a thing like, you know how Komodo dragons aren't. Well, I think they actually found out they are actually venomous now, but a large portion of the damage they do bite-wise comes from just the bacteria that lives in their mouth. So it's like it's almost there's a symbiosis going on there, and I guess if these things are feeding on dead bodies all the time, similar to a Komodo, maybe that paralyzing toxin comes from that, rather than them like producing it. It's like they just bite dead bodies so much that they've developed a kind of paralyzing bacteria thing going on. Just thinking of its vision, could it see heat temperatures? Since dogs are colorblind, maybe its vision would be well, I guess, yeah, that kind of works with the infrared thing, like seeing heat, because then it would still be desaturated grayscale. It's just that there would be like glowing spots where warm blood was. I like that too. You guys are just doing my job for me, it feels like. Like a tongue with a barb on the end, yeah. What about life leeching from thing it attacks? What's that? I don't know what that is. Make certain threshold to heal it slightly. Oh, got you. Yeah, you could bake that into the mechanics, like gains HP from blood sucking. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I definitely know what you're getting at, Ketsu, for sure, with the folding proboscis. I mean, this version here has like the curled up thing. Maybe like you could kind of have the look Because I do almost imagine it like the needles emerging like here, like that, like down the throat a little bit. But just for pure like art design, I feel like it's quite striking having it be like straight visually. Yeah, necrotic damage for sure. Coin dog bites you and you immediately enter septic shock. And back to the coin. I actually don't know how we got this deep into it. And then Aston's encouraging it. Yeah, it steals health to heal itself. That's, yeah, for sure. Hope you find some fantasy antibiotics. I mean, if you've got a witch in your party, maybe, right? I feel like if anyone's going to get those to you, it'd be one of those. I think we've got a lot of good ideas here. There's definitely something. This boy right here, I think this is solid stuff. What time is it? It's late. Ooh, lordy. 3:20 in the morning for me. So it's very late. This has been extremely productive though. We have got some incredible ideas going. Oh, if a dog dies from it, it could turn into one. That's pretty sick. What if they're sought after to harvest their venom as a magic item, maybe? Get venom item. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, witches and druids, you got... Yeah, for sure, you have to have one. Don't be... Steve. That's not going to work on me, alright? But I will firmly say that we are going to definitely do more of these, because this has been a lot of fun and I feel like we've come up with some really cool stuff. What I can do though before we go is that I believe Willow has a... Aston, well, did you say it was a plus 16? Modifier to Willow's roll? Obviously I'm not on video, but I can roll her dice now. You'll just have to trust me. Do people want me to do you want me to tell you what I roll before we sign off, or do you want me to hide it and then like not tell you and then reveal it in the update tomorrow? And this is what we'll do before we it's 8 plus 8, 16. Okay, cool. You could use the skull head to hide by burrowing into the ground and just having that showing. Oh, I love D&D players. I don't want to say the name right. Is it Bopopolis? Bopus? It's so late that my contacts have just like baked into my eyeballs and I can't see great. But that sounds like the kind of thing a DM would say, is what I was gonna say, because that's maniacal. Who is Willow and why are we rolling for it? Steve, you've missed out, buddy. Willow's been on an adventure with all of us for the past month. With advantage, reveal the first roll. Hey Connor, do we want to tease what rewards they could be if they win? Oh, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Yeah, so she's rolling with advantage. The rewards, yes. Let me have a look. So, should she defeat this roll, you will all get a choice of one of 3 boons. That you can add to the book. The first is... Hold on, let me find where I've got it written down so that I don't say the wrong one. So the first is a Warlock subclass, which is the Coven Warlock. So it's a Warlock subclass who get their power from a Coven of Witches. So that's one option. Let me get my note up to find the other one real quick, because I have to make sure these are correct. So there's the Coven Warlock is one of them. Where did I write this down? Aston, do you have this written down? Because I'm suddenly finding it difficult to find where these three things are. Oh, you found the campaign today, Steve. Well, it's all up there, so you can get caught up with her a little bit. May I ask one curious question before we go? Is there a vague ET on the first playtest that I can get hype for my nerds for the next one shot? Yes. So the first playtest. So we'll be releasing a survey for the preview PDF first, and then that will be followed by, which will be within the next couple of weeks, probably sooner than that, but and then that will be followed at the start of September with the first like playtest drop, which should have the Witch and the Witch Knight in it and a few other bits. So that's when I would look for that. Yes, sorry. So yes, the rewards you get to pick from if Willow gets this succeeds in this role is the Pact of the Coven. So yes, like it's a warlock who gets their powers from multiple patrons, as in a Coven of Witches. The second option is Wandering Hollow, which is an additional location in the book, as well as a bunch of other things, including a background and things like that, called Wandering Hollow, which is a nomadic witch town whose houses walk on legs, and they sort of move around the realms of Faerie. So that's like becomes a fully fleshed out location in the book. And then the third one, what was the third one, Aston? I'm gonna test Aston now, see if he remembers. Oh, sorry, Jake. I missed that. I would like to know how to get a mention in the book, Connor, if it's at least possible. We don't have any plans to do that at the minute, but if that changes, we will put it in an update and you will see it. Feed Connor inspiration and glamour until he becomes dependent on Andy. Yeah. Catch me in a Fae bargain. If I roll a nat 20, do we get all three rewards? Ooh. Deal. Yeah, deal. Deal. Yeah, I'll go on record and say that. That's an absolute deal. And then the third one... Let me find... I literally wrote this down today. Where did I put it? Oh, yeah, Wandering Hollow comes with an extended spell list. It's been a very busy day. And then the final reward is when I find it. Just me frantically. This reminds me of running a D&D game where I'm just frantically searching through notes. after one of my players has put me on the spot. I actually don't know where I've written that. I can't make that decision live on air, and I've done it. It's too late. This is what happens if you've asked me things at 3:30 in the morning. I agree to it. Yeah, no takesies backsies. Fine. Yeah, alright. It's agreed. You did catch me in a Fae bargain, and now I've agreed to it. So you get all 3 if I roll a nat 20. Which, you know, there's a 1 in 10 chance because you are rolling with advantage. So I can't find where the 3rd reward is. It's very sick though, and I remember it being very sick, and I can't remember where I've written it down. But I'll find it. It's cool though. You won't get to decide right this second because we've got to put it in a poll. But there's a little tease as to what's coming up. I'm gonna roll now, right? I think that's what we're all waiting for. So I'm gonna just roll 1 at a time, and we'll see. She gets a plus 16 to this. You got to get 25. So what does that mean? A success is a 9. 9 or higher is a success. First roll. Okay. First dice is rolled. Do you want me to tell you the first dice, or should I roll the second dice before I reveal it? No way! No way did I just roll a nat 20. There's no way that just happened. You're kidding me. Oh my god. The first roll was a 16 and I rolled a crit on the second roll. I'm sorry for the people that didn't want me to reveal that, but I really I couldn't. The noise came out of my mouth before I could do anything. I actually can't believe that happened. Oh my god. Yeah, there you go. Nat 20. I know we didn't plan for this, Aston, but that's D&D, innit? It happens. Good god. Wow. There's going to be a lot of people tomorrow that are going to have to thank all of you for convincing me into that. Wild. I actually cannot believe that happened. Well, hopefully you can rest easy in the fact that that really did happen, because my entire reaction escaped from me before I could silence myself. Good lord. Okay. Well, that's a pretty fantastic point to end on, I believe. Thank you everybody for showing up. Thank you everyone for the wonderful ideas. We have got tons of them. It's been fantastic. We will definitely be doing this again, so look out for reminders on that. I can't always promise it'll be super regular because the time is late. But we will see. We will see what happens. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for pledging. And I can't wait to see what the next chapter is. Now that the campaign's over. Take care of yourselves wherever you are. If it is as late as it is for you as it is for me, please go to sleep, because that's what I'm going to be doing. And if it isn't, I hope the rest of your evening is as wonderful as mine has been. Thanks, everyone.